6 days a week, 12 years in a row. So my point, we're going to have to motivate them here. How that's going to work, we're going to send the food over the water. And as soon as an alligator or a crocodile rips that first piece down, when the food hits the water on the first one, I want all of us to cheer and clap and shout. Hopefully, that sound at the beginning of the show will let the rest of our alligators and crocodiles know that the feeding has begun. Now, all of my boring talking out of the way, we'll get to some action, hopefully, fingers crossed. One thing I want to note, up here, this crocodile's been moving around, that is Bonnie. That is our beautiful female West African crocodile. The reason she's up here right now is because she's nesting. Yep, she's a proud mama. We've already collected her eggs for incubation because, well, a couple reasons. Number one, in Florida, fire ants are the worst when it comes to alligator or crocodile nests. They get in the nest, they eat the eggs, you are left with nothing. Secondly speaking, as a zoological facility, it is our responsibility to ensure the care of these eggs, these offspring, especially because this is a non-native species to Florida. So we wouldn't want little Bonnies out there in Lake Cypress. But Florida, in the southern tip, is the only place in the whole world you'll find wild crocodiles, alligators coexist in the same natural habitat. That is, of course, in Everglades National Park. There is the American alligator and the American crocodile. We do not have any American crocodiles at Wild Florida. But, I missed the jump. I was looking the wrong way. That was Dexter, though. I saw him splash down. In the main pond here, there are 60 American alligators, 7 crocodiles. And make some noise. Yeah, that was Jeremiah. Thank you for those of you that were cheering. And for those of you not cheering, I was watching it. You see it in your face. You're like, I'm not going to clap for an alligator. That's so weird. That doesn't work. What a Florida thing to do, clap for an alligator. Well, it helps in terms of their pattern recognition. Put simply, every day, at the same time of day, they get their first piece, you guys cheer. They get the first piece, you guys cheer. Every day, 12 years in a row. So that sound at the beginning of the show certainly reminds them, like, oh, those humans are down there sending up bits of extra food. I do reiterate the word extra. A lot of people look at this and they think, is that enough food for an alligator or crocodile? That's such a little piece. We use trim pieces, that way we're not overfeeding them. I know it sounds ridiculous. Again, like you're going to overfeed an alligator with a piece like that. It's simple math, it adds up. So if Jeremiah, the alligator that got the first one there on the right, if Jeremiah ate 5 pieces at every show, 2 shows a day, 6 days a week, 4 weeks a month, 12 months a year, 5 pieces that many times, he'd be a very chunky alligator. We got to get that alligator some glasses. No, I'm kidding. They have great eyesight, great sense of smell, great hearing even. Oh man, Jeremiah, he just dropped the ball like Houston. Hey, I'm kidding. I don't know what sport that is. What is it? Football? Baseball? I actually don't know. I do not watch sports. I'm a nerd, if you can't tell. I read books. But back to the action. We have a stalemate. Dexter is the only alligator now present under the line. And they are going to miss a lot. And don't feel bad, because I know they call it the feeding show, but they had to lie to all of you to get you here. Because when we called this the alligator exercise show, nobody came down. But that's really what this is. It is the opportunity to give them that chance to burn some calories, get some exercise, use those muscles. Because just like us, we don't all go to the gym every day. They don't all go to the gym every day. So in a zoological setting, it's integral to offer this opportunity to get some exercise. Because let's face it, normally alligators in a captive setting can be very fat and lazy. So it's great to see this true display of athleticism. Spot on that jump, and you guys are so nice, you cheered them on twice. You're hired. You can start today. I'll pay you in high fives and pizza parties. You won't like that when you're older, kids, but maybe now. But again, you guys are cool. Thank you for actually cheering them on. You can sit back and relax. Now, normally at this time of the show, I would walk in and try and hand feed the alligator gecko or even Bonnie. But because Bonnie is nesting, I'm going to respect her space as a mother crocodile and leave her alone. Because if I walked in there right now she would chase me every direction to get away from her nesting site. And that could be stressful. And I do not want to stress the crocodilians because that builds up lactic acid. And technically, too much lactic acid buildup would make them very sick. So, in respect to her, Bonnie, the nesting female West African crocodile, I'll leave her be. So, all the crocodiles you see at this facility are placed here from other zoos and facilities and conservation programs versus the alligators like Gecko and Jeremiah and Dexter. The alligators are brought here, the big ones as adults, by the permanent trappers. Great job, Pop, there. So the alligators are brought here by state permanent trappers deemed a nuisance by the state of Florida. What's a nuisance alligator? In the state of Florida's eyes, any wild alligator over 4 feet that's a threat to people, pets, or livestock. That's a nuisance alligator. So luckily, these are brought here alive from local trappers, Osceola County, which are in right now, Brevard County, Okeechobee County, even Tennessee Clearwater. Unfortunately, though, most of the time, nuisance alligators are killed on site, processed for meat and hide. Because remember, those trappers are not paid by Ron DeSantis in the state of Florida. They're paid by the meat and the hide of the alligators they remove. And you guys are in luck. We finally have a crocodile on the line. That is actually Bonnie's baby daddy. That's Clyde. Clyde, Bonnie. Bonnie, Clyde.
Bonnie, Clyde.
And again, he is our male West African crocodile. Perfect. It was like I planned that. So he is, again, a male West African crocodile. Now that Clyde had one, he is cut off. No more for Clyde. It sounds mean, but again, he is very good at this behavior, this jumping behavior. And that's one thing. We do not have to teach, train, or show an alligator or crocodile how to jump out of the water for food. Again, it is naturalistic, meaning in the wild, it has been documented, the American alligator jumps out of the waterways for nesting birds, raccoons, possums, even an apple snail on a cypress tree. Crocodiles, they'll jump for a variety of prey, mostly dependent on the species and their habitat. And depending on who you're asking, we're getting close to 26 crocodilians on planet Earth. Thanks to taxonomy, science, DNA, analytics, every year we learn something new. Sometimes they split one species into two just based on their range. And we're flying through this today. You guys came at the perfect time. Kudos to you this time of year because it's not too hot for you and it's not too cold for them. Because in the summer, when it's actually hot, when it's over 100 degrees every day, you guys are melting, you hate it, I love it, these reptiles love it. But in the winter, you come here in your jackets and your sweaters, you think, oh, it's so nice and it's cold in Florida, I can see my breath, this is amazing. This is the most boring show of all time in the winter. Because there's 0 alligators eating, 0 crocodiles eating, so the show in winter is just me talking for 20 minutes straight. Imagine that. So this is a great display, again, of true power in terms of alligators and crocodiles. And we got a Hercules. He showed up late. We have to change his name to Daniel. That and there's the leprechaun. The leprechaun barely tried. And then right behind leprechaun is Louie. Louie's kind of a medium-sized alligator. There's Louie and Long Jaws. Long Jaws got the name from those incredibly long jaws. Out of the 60 American alligators in here, myself and Max can properly identify around 25 to 30 as an individual alligator to alligator. Little things make them distinctly different. Teeth, tail, head, coloration of the jaws themselves. But the newer the alligators are to the facility, the less likely we are to know them. Great to hear those jaws pop. One of the strongest bites on this planet, the alligator, the American alligator. So if you look at the back of their head, a lot of people look at their neck and they see that neck and immediately they think, whoa, look at the big fat alligator with a double chin like Grandpa. That is not fat. Their fat reserves are at the base of the tail, their back hind legs, so all you see extruding from their skull there, that is pure jaw muscle. So the bigger the neck, the stronger the bite. The strongest bite force recorded on planet Earth that came from a saltwater crocodile recorded over 3,500 psi. Technically, that broke this scale as well. That being said, they have not measured every animal's bite force on this planet. It's very tricky research. One of my colleagues, Gregory Erickson, is responsible for bite force research amongst crocodilians from up from Florida State University. And again, a great display today in terms of energy with the alligators, crocodiles. A lot of people want to know, how do you know if they all get fed? Well, rewind. Remember, you guys feed them a lot. You feed them 6 days a week, 10 hours a day. What you feed them is this stuff I'll explain. Croc chow. This is what you guys get to purchase and feed them. A lot of people think this is not food. You guys think it looks like something else I can't repeat on the microphone. Looks like a great big piece of food. So croc chow, it is manufactured by Missouri Exotic Feed Company, M-A-Z-U-R-I. It is designed alongside St. Augustine Alligator Farm, University of Florida. It is designed as a whole prey diet for crocodiles and alligators, ground up and dehydrated into pellet form. And some people are curious. Some of the guests ask me, well, if that pellet is for alligators and crocodiles, what's in it? Do you guys want to know what's in the pellet? I heard some no, some yes, some of you look sad. Okay, well, if you don't want to know, plug your ears. You're going to learn something new today. Well, let's pause for the jump. Hercules versus Longjaws. Hercules got pushed out of the way by Longjaws. That alligator was cheating. That was an alligator moonwalk. So, rewind. Croc chow. So if you want to know what is this stuff, this pellet, it is ground up, dehydrated beef, pork, fish, bugs, rats, bone marrow, dry blood. It's almost like how they make a hot dog. Come on, I'm sure a lot of you eating hot dogs out there. Google how they make it. You probably won't eat anymore. But
the hot dog I
croc chow. We finally got one. Croc chow is for, again, crocodilians. Now, as far as feeding is concerned, again, they can go without food for months at a time.
It's okay.
Or they can eat 20% of their body weight at one time. But naturally, alligators are lazy. They eat a lot of small stuff on an infrequent basis versus crocodiles. They'll kind of eat depending, again, on the size and where they're at. So the pond, too, is naturally stocked with live catfish and tilapia. And if there is newer alligator crocodile that's not eating what you guys feed them, not coming down to the show, not catching their own fish, we'll just bring them frozen thawed whole prey in a bucket. And what is that? Frozen thawed whole prey in a bucket? Straight out of the freezer. I'm talking about a whole rooster, quail, fish, rats, rabbits. Again, they don't eat pizza, they don't eat their vegetables, and they don't just eat meat. Alligators and crocodiles eat whole animals, whole prey. But I've been talking for 13 minutes straight. So as we send out our grand finale, if there's one thing we could all collectively remember from my show, just open your mind, stop scrolling on your phone, and just soak this up like a sponge with your brain. The one thing to remember today from my show: never feed wild alligators or crocodiles. I say every day in hopes you don't do it, because, for example, myself and Brian were born and raised in Florida our whole lives. Seen people feed wild alligators. It is illegal. It is a felony. You go to jail, you are arrested. That's Brian. Brian's over there, Max. I was shouting out Brian. That's my little brother. Sorry. We're all over the place today. But Brian, my little bro, is here. And again, in terms of feeding them, it is illegal. You feed a wild alligator, you go to jail. It is a felony. Then you're on probation. You got to pay the state of Florida more money. And most importantly, because you fed a wild alligator or crocodile, most of the time they get killed on sight for that. So just never feed wild gators and crocodiles. If you really want to feed one, just come work here. There's always an opening in my department. Don't ask questions. The pay is minimum wage. That was not a joke, but thank you for laughing. It wasn't a joke, right? Welcome to Florida. Hey, what's that saying? My mom always loves to say you have to love what you do. I certainly love educating the public, working with alligators and crocodiles, but make no mistake, they do not love me. They do not reciprocate affection. I do not trust them. They trust me not to hurt them. But the whole goal of everything, besides teaching you guys, is conservation. So that's the goal of zoos, shows, any of this. Conservation of wildlife, wild places, their habitats. So what does that mean? Don't desecrate a national park. Leave it as they stand. Don't cut down 200,000 trees in the name of profit. Leave wildlife the way it should be. Because there's 8 billion people on planet Earth in the year 2025. Starting to run out of real estate, and eventually probably going to run out of resources. So yeah, conservation is key. It sounds cheesy, but it is important. And we're into alligator feeding overtime. That was the end of the show. You guys were amazing. Thank you for coming out. Oh, one more thing. Red light. I don't want to confuse you. On your map, the next scheduled show it says 3:45 with Crusher, the big alligator down there. But at 3:45, if Crusher is laying on land down there, there's no show because his show is training that is done in the water, and I swim with him. So when he's on land, I leave him alone. Whether he wants to warm up, doesn't want to do anything, that is totally up to him. That is a show based on training. I'm not going to pull him around by his tail, jump on his back, shove his head in the sand, and force him to do a show. That is not training. So again, full warning, at 3:45, if Crusher's on land, there is no Crusher show. That's all I had to say. Bye, everybody!
Bye!
This is my first day.
No, it's not.
I started on Wednesday. Isn't that weird? Thumbs up. That's my mama right there. Thumbs up. Hey, thanks. Dad wants